Hi guys, welcome to episode 32 of Mark Anthony's Music Picks. Due to popular demand, I have decided to do Dozzy's Greatest Hits episode, and I actually had a very hard time narrowing this list down. It was kind of a strenuous task, and I was able to get it down to 10, and I can't go any lower than 10 without insulting some of this guy's music. So for those of you who don't know, Dozzy is a techno producer. He's known for being paired up with Mike Parker back in the day. He's Italian, and he generally keeps to himself from what I've seen. I haven't seen any interviews from this guy on camera. There might be some written ones somewhere, like if you want to like scour Google or search for a blog, but for the most part, I don't know too much about the guy except for the fact that he makes really consistent techno, and he's been a badass almost from day one. I mean, pretty much his entire catalog, it just crushes it, and it's this minimal type of eccentric, old school, kind of like analog-y techno where you can tell there's like real true machines, like hardware behind some of these sounds that he's been making. So I'm gonna go through my list of my top 10 favorite Dozzy records. And the first one I've got is, I'm gonna go oldest to newest like I normally do. This one's Metal Slave, and it's from 2004. I first came across this track when I was searching for records on the now defunct Satellite Records, which was based out of New York, and it was 2004. I didn't know anything about anything, and I was just searching, and I remember sampling Metal Slave and being like, wow, that's really cool, but who the heck is Dozzy? I was like, what is this? Like, when you're new and you don't have any sense of like what the genres are and who are the pioneers and the kings of each genre, like you don't really know like what you're sampling, and I passed on it. And I remember I had it in my shopping cart and I didn't buy it, and I really wish I had to come back like 5-10 years later and pick this up for a much inflated price. But the track itself has a very it's called Metal Slave, but it actually has like a kind of metallic kind of twang to it, and a very minimal aesthetic. Like the percussion clicks are so tiny and like short, and like they're arranged like very cleverly, and it kind of has this like slick rolling momentum, but it's definitely like clicky minimal. Really awesome as far as like how Donato like just turns the track and just kind of like turns your brain inside out as you're listening to it. Really wicked. So definitely, I think, considering that this was one of the first things that he put out, maybe his second or third record ever, he just came out of the gate swinging. Awesome title. Next one is from 2008. This is the Time Out the Gap EP. And it came out on a label called Rail Yard, which was a New York label. And I got this from a record store, an online record store that's still open. Downtown304.com had this listed. I remember I bought it there. And it has two really good tracks. Actually, I like all three tracks on it. But the A1 is called Time Out the Gap. And it sounds kind of like a train coming down the tracks, like the way that the percussion's laid out. And I guess that's kind of weird because it's on Rail Yard. But I'm gonna say that the star track on this is actually the B2, Idera. Idera is a very simple, like soft melodic track with just a little like 3-note melody that just repeats, and it's beautiful. you notice some of the picks that I'm going to go through here, Donato has like a harder side over here, and he has a softer side. I tend to lean towards the softer side. I've never been much of a hard techno fan. It just doesn't resonate with me. So you're probably going to see some bias towards more of his gentle productions here. Next one is Donato's K album, which is huge. This came out in 2010, and I found this by hanging out on the Dub Techno forum on Discogs, and there was a guy that runs the label that this is on, which is Further Records, and he was posting saying, hey, I got these green copies. I think the green was like the first release, and then after that, they did like a couple reissues of the black, but I mean, green or black, it doesn't matter, man. This album is super strong. I remember I equated this to like Gotham City, or having like a very, like how Batman has that very dark, subdued, gray, kind of like cloudy vibe to it in every scene, like the old Batmans. This album has that aesthetic to it. And the two tracks that I like the most are the B1 and the D2. The D2 I'll give you a sample of here. Just really nice, like hypnotic opening set material. And I just think it's perfect. If you're going to invest in this, I mean, just don't worry about spending like $100 on the green. Just get one of the black reissues, man, and just sit back and listen to this in your house, man. It's awesome. Next up is Donati's record on Acid Test, and it's called In Bed. And this is like a smooth, mellow kind of techno journey. Low key, low BPM, really soft. If you want a more aggressive like club mix to listen to, I recommend the Tin Man remix on the B side. I've often said that In Bed, the A side of this, actually sounds like it could have gone on this album. Like I think it might have actually been produced as part of this, but maybe he ran out of space and just gave it to this label a year later. The Tin Man remix, you have to be careful because the way that it ends, it has this really heavy crescendo towards the end, and then it kind of just like leaves you hanging. So I will say, if you're gonna mix into the Tin Man side, just be ready to get out and have your next track like at a higher energy level before you reach the end of this, because this thing's like a cliffhanger. It's like up, 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 and then, you know, it pretty much ends. So just be ready for it. See here, I think we got 5 or 6 more to go. All right, this is a marathon episode. The next one is Donato Dozzy's track called Space Pop. Well, it's actually by Raw H, but the track that's being remixed here is called Space Pops. And I like this because it has like this like slow momentum. I think this might be 110 beats per minute. And it has Dozzy's like classic kind of like acid like churning sound and some like kind of like plink plonk percussion that's going on. And I always thought that was really catchy. it's a relatively static record. I mean, you're not going to see too many changes in this, and I think it goes on for 8 or 10 minutes. So, you know, you could probably like long mix this or maybe use it as a DJ tool. But I think it's really one of the most interesting remixes that he's ever made. So give this one a check too. Now I'm venturing a little bit away from just straight up Donato work. This is Voices from the Lake. Voices from the Lake is a project that started in 2012, and it's Donato, Dozzy, and Neil pairing up. This album is huge. I remember it came out in 2012 and I sampled it, and I saw people were writing reviews about it on forums and such, talking about how good it was, and I kind of like didn't bite on the first press. I don't know why. 2013, I think it was, maybe like summer of 2013, they did a repress of this by Prologue, which at this point is a defunct label. But this triple pack here like just turned out to be so awesome. There's also a CD version of this where all of the tracks that are on here plus a few more are mixed together, and it just turned out to be brilliant. I mean, there's thousands of Discogs owners for this, and there's a reason for that. The track that is the strongest, in my opinion, that that I've played out several times now, is Twins in Virgo, side C. Twins in Virgo is about a 10 or 12 minute song, and when you get to maybe about 2/3 of the way through it, there's a warm bass line that comes in. That bass line, when I first listened to it, I didn't know that it was there. It kind of like caught me off guard. And the first time I heard it, I don't know if I was in like the perfect mood or what, but it just completely overwhelmed me. I was like, what is this? And I even played this at an outdoor gig in Philadelphia. I was down by the Schuylkill River, and they had this like speaker set up and a generator. And I got to play like a 2-hour set, all vinyl. And I dropped this, and some guy came up to the booth and just made some kind of comment, and he was like, Jesus, dude, like, what was that? Really, really powerful stuff. And, you know, for a straight up listening experience, I recommend just sitting down and listening to this from front to back. Really, really epic, low key, awesome, mesmerizing techno. Voices from the Lake's second album didn't come out until 2015, and it's called Live at the Maxi. This is designed as an art gallery background music kind of deal. Because of that, it's experimental and I would say very eclectic. I'm gonna be honest with you, I had a hard time listening to like the A, B, and C side of this. Like, I didn't hate it, but it wasn't really my vibe. And then you get to the D side, and there's a track called Max on there, which is unlike anything else that's on the record. It's really heavily emotional. Doombot, I remember when I played this track for him, well, I put him onto it and he listened to it on YouTube, but he was saying about how like it actually made like a tears coming to his eyes because of how powerful the song is, and I agree. It's really something to behold. So check out Max, and you know, is it worth it to spend 25, you know, for this album and only really enjoy the one song? I mean, maybe. I mean, see how much you like Max, but Max is definitely one of the strongest songs that Voices from the Lake has ever made. Now we're up to 2017, and I'm gonna feature one of the most controversial Donato Dozzy records that's ever been made. Actually, no, this is the most controversial. It's this After House series. And the reason that this is controversial is because it doesn't sound like anything Donato has made since or before then. It stands on its own. And I think it was his attempt at, hey, I'm gonna make a tech house or a house record. The track that I like here is the C side, which is actually called D, like the letter D. And it's a really nice straight up house tune. I think this is worth noting just because if you think you have Donato's sound pegged down and it's like, oh, he's a one-trick pony, he can only make this, you know, his Donato sound, think again, my friend. Two more to go, guys. And next is Donato Dozzy's Variations EP. This is on the label Spazio or Spazio. I don't know how to pronounce it. And there's two really huge tracks on here. It was tough for me to just pick one. So the A side is a remix of Parola, which came out on that duet album that Donato did with the girl Anne, where it's like mostly her voice. And when that album came out, I bought it and I thought, man, Parola would be a sick DJ tool. So I actually played a DJ set where I started out with Parola and I had like a disco record kind of like lined up, like a new disco record lined up with it, and I like beat matched over her voice, and I actually like pulled it off really well. I was like, that's sick. So when I came on a Discogs, I was like, hey, Parola would be sick with a beat. And I don't know if somebody saw that, maybe Donato or maybe somebody that knows Donato saw that comment and gave him the idea for this, or I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm not that big-headed. Maybe he just thought of it on his own. But it turned out to be awesome. Like when I saw that there was a Parola rework, I was like, shit, this is exactly what I was hoping for. And it's awesome. It's a total badass track. But I also think 12H.5 on the backside kind of steals the show. That has a girl's voice, like kind of like escalating and descending, and it's just totally hypnotic. H is one of the more, I guess, obscure or experimental projects that Donato did. A whole different host of ambient sounds on that double CD, but I think 12H.5 was like the one if he was gonna make a rework out of anything on that, he picked the right one, and it turned out to be brilliant. I actually featured this on my very first mix CD, or not my first video vinyl mix, which is the one with where it's nighttime, Darkness Falls. It's on there. So if you want to like hear this in the context, I'll give you a link to my video vinyl mix down below, and you can check it out. I played it about halfway through that set. Really, really epic stuff. And finally, the last track that I'm gonna put you guys onto is Donato's most recent release, and I think this is gonna go down in history as something really special for him. He paired up with Dominic, who, if you follow Dominic's catalog at all, is known for really childlike melodics, like very, very innocent sounding, almost never goes dark. So you've got this very playful melody here. Like, think like Gabriel Ananda. Like, if you remember the type of techno that Gabriel Ananda used to make, where it was just kind of like happy and frenzied and fun, that's what Dominic sounds like. So then you've got Donato, you know, programming some of his ambient styles mixed in with Dominic, and it's just like, holy crap, look these two worlds combining here. So, highly recommend that. That's all for this episode, guys. This is probably going to be the longest episode I ever made, but there's just no way that I could cut that down to less than 10 records because I think Donato's so awesome. Donato, thank you so much for all of the awesome tunes, and I hope you produce for another 50 years. I'll be buying them all, man. Take care. Peace.